So these funds, they look like a cheat code: 30, 50, 60% annual yields, monthly distributions. The money hits your account like clockwork. It feels like the market is finally rewarding you for doing absolutely nothing. Here's what's actually happening though. A significant portion of what you're receiving is your own money coming right back to you. Not income, right? But your principal, repackaged as a distribution and handed back to you with a label that says yield. And every time it happens, your account shrinks a little. Not dramatically, just slowly, month after month, until one day the math catches up and there is less capital generating the actual distributions, which means smaller distributions, which means a compounding decline that gets harder to recover from the longer you wait. That's the NAV erosion, and that's why I'm getting out of that. YieldMax, Defiance, and similar fund families have launched a wave of single stock and sector focused covered call ETF, TSLY on Tesla, NVDY on Nvidia, MSFL on Microsoft, MSTO on MicroStrategy. The list keeps growing. The structure of every one of these funds is essentially the same. What they do is they create a synthetic long position on the underlying stock using options. Most don't actually own the actual shares. Then they sell call options against that position and pass the premium to investors as monthly income. In a high volatility environment, the premium from those options is substantial. A stock that moves 5% per week generates rich options premium. That premium passed along monthly produces extraordinary yield numbers that you see in these fund descriptions that just fools retail investors. The problem arrives the moment you look at what the fund is actually worth over time, not just what it's distributing, because the distributions and the share price, they're not independent of each other. Every dollar paid out that isn't covered by actual earned premium comes from the fund's asset base. The share price goes down quietly, consistently, and in ways that don't show up in your monthly notifications. The only number that tells the truth about any income investment is total return. Total return is price change plus distributions combined. Not the distribution in isolation, the full picture. That's what we want to see. A fund that pays 40% in distributions while its share price falls 38% has a total return of roughly 2%. That's not an income investment. That's a bank account charging you hidden fees, okay? While sending you your own deposits back in smaller envelopes, right? The reason this gets missed is a quirk in how we perceive financial events. Money arriving in your account feels real. It feels concrete. Share price decline shows up as a smaller number on a screen. Most people weigh the concrete things way more heavily than the abstract one. The funds are designed, not maliciously, but structurally, to produce exactly that experience. You see the deposit, you don't see where it came from, okay? The total return check takes 30 seconds. Look at the share price when you bought it. Look at the share price now. Add the distributions that you received. Is the combined number ahead of where you started? If no, the yield is not income, it's liquidation. This is why the math starts to break down. The fundamental problem with 100% covered call strategies on individual stocks is that the upside is permanently capped. Look, when a fund sells calls on 100% of its positions, it agrees to sell the position, right, at the strike price. If the underlying stock rallies way past the strike, the fund, right, literally captures nothing above that, right? The shareholders of the actual stock that get that gain. The fund does not. In a rising market, this means the fund's asset base cannot appreciate meaningfully, okay? Distributions keep going out. There's no price appreciation filling the gap though. The fund's total value, share price times shares outstanding, declines over time, even if the monthly checks keep arriving. Now we gotta talk about the volatility dependency problem here, because these funds are also deeply dependent on market volatility to generate these headline yields that we're seeing out here, right? When a stock is moving a lot, right, big weekly swings, elevated uncertainty, the options premium, they rich. The fund can distribute very large amounts and still cover it from actual earnings. That's the environment that produces these 50, 60% yield numbers that make people really start buying in. But volatility, it's not constant. Markets go through quiet periods, right? When IV, implied volatility, drops, the options premiums, they compress. A fund that was covering its distribution easily during a volatile stretch can no longer cover it in a calm market. The two options, cut the distribution or continue paying it from the principal. Most funds choose the second to avoid the PR problem of a distribution cut, right? The NAV bleeds even faster, okay? Investors who bought during a high volatility period built their expectations on numbers that literally aren't sustainable once conditions actually normalize. When the distribution shrinks later, because it has to, they're left holding a fund worth less than they paid and paying less than it originally even advertised. Now let's talk about the compounding problem, because nobody likes to talk about it. Here's the part that matters the absolute most and gets literally the least amount of attention. NAV erosion compounds in the wrong direction, okay? So let's say year one, you invest 10 grand. The fund distributes 4,000 and the NAV drops to 3,500. You're nominally ahead by 500 bucks. Year two, you're starting with a fund worth $6,500. At the same distribution rate, the fund pays out $2,600, the NAV drops another $2,400. You're now at roughly $4,100 in fund value plus $6,600 in total distributions received for a total of $10,700. That looks okay, but here's the compounding trap. The fund that started at 10 grand is now worth $4,100. The income it can sustainably generate at the same percentage drops proportionally. By year three, it's generating less than it did in year one from a smaller pool, and the decline accelerates as the base shrinks. The person who thought they were building an income engine is actually running it down now. The monthly checks, sure, they keep coming, but smaller, from a fund that's burning through its own foundation. Look, high yield single stock covered call ETFs are not income funds in the traditional sense. They're structured products that efficiently transfer wealth from your principal to your checking account, okay? And they charge you a management fee on top of it in the process. For a short-term tactical position held with full awareness of the structure and an exit plan, sure, they can serve a specific purpose. I'll give you that. For anything resembling a retirement income though strategy, the math runs the wrong direction over time, right? The question to ask about any high yield fund is not what does it yield? It's where does the yield come from? Dividends? From underlying businesses, right? Those are sustainable. Options premium in high volatility environments is situationally sustainable. Principal returned to you and labeled as income is neither. Okay? And once you understand which one you're actually receiving, the headline yield becomes a secondary number rather than the primary one you're looking at. Look, I don't hold YieldMax or Defiant style funds in my portfolio. I looked at the structure carefully and I concluded that for me and my specific goals, building a durable income floor that holds up to 20 years, 30 years, the NAV erosion problem is a disqualifying factor. The income ETFs I do like, JEPI, JEPQ, QQQI, SPYI, use partial options coverage and index-based strategies that really preserve way more NAV over time. Their yields are lower, sure. Their total returns over full market cycles, though, are way more defensible. The income is smaller, but it comes from a base that isn't shrinking to fund it. The individual income layer in my portfolio comes from running the wheel strategy myself, right? Cash secured puts, covered calls on quality dividend paying stock. That approach generates premium without handing control of the coverage ratio to a fund manager who literally is incentivized to keep the headline yield high. Sure, it's a tiny bit more work, but it's way more durable. The 40% yield, sure, it's a compelling number. The 3-year total return chart is the honest one, though. I got some questions for you guys, as always, in the comments. Number one, have you done the total return math on any high yield ETFs that you're currently holding, right? Price change plus distributions combined. What did you find? Let me know in the comments, please. Number two, if you're holding one of these funds, what was the original reason that you did? Yield, the specific underlying stock, or something else? Let me know. And if you want to take your education a step further and learn about our 100 Contract Club, we actually just added our newest 100 Contract Club member to our website, and we actually send these awesome awards. They're fully custom made. So if you're interested to learn more about that, I talk about that at the end of our Ark Options Strategy workshop. So click the first link in the description of today's video. And just for attending, I give you a bunch of free tools that you can actually walk away with and start implementing for yourself. I give you my 10 favorite stocks that I love running the wheel strategy on, all under 30 bucks, my trade log template, as well as my 2 income calculators. You'll find that on the Ark Options Strategy workshop. So click the first link in the description of today's video, guys. Remember, sell options, collect premiums, repeat. I'll see y'all tomorrow.